Hello and welcome to my Mario Gnome tutorial. This is Nova at Nova Gnome Creations and I hope that you enjoy. This is going to be done in multiple parts, so if this is the part you are looking for, cool, stay here, and if it's not, check the description box. I will have the playlist linked as well as the other videos directly. Welcome back to the third and final part of our Mario Gnome tutorial. You're going to need all the same things that you needed for the other one, except for that you are also going to need either yellow yarn, yellow little buttons, or yellow felt. Everything else should be the same stuff you needed for the other part, so you're going to need your brown yarn, you're going to need your red yarn, and you're going to need your blue yarn. You're also going to need your 3.5mm hook and your little scissors, or any scissors, doesn't have to be little scissors, and a stitch marker. So let's jump into it. To begin, go ahead and grab your blue yarn and your crochet hook. We are going to start by making our overall straps. So you're going to need to make 2 of these, and they're going to be really simple. We're just going to start out by making a slip knot. And once you have that slip knot, you can go ahead and place it on your hook and tighten it up. We are going to make 25 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, pull out some more yarn, 23, 24, and 25. So you are going to have a chain of 25, and this is going to be going over the shoulder of your Mario Gnome. And we're going to make it so that it looks like a strap that's like wider on the ends, but then gets skinnier when it goes next to the neck, since our Mario Gnome has a very large head. So what I did was I made it so that the strap will go nice and big in the front, nice and skinny around the neck, and then get wider again. And that's what we're going to be doing. And when we go to attach it, we're going to leave it just a little bit unattached, but I will explain that to you when we get to it. All right. So after you chain 25, you are going to turn and you are going to skip 1 chain. So you have your chain of 25, you're going to skip that first chain, you're going to single crochet into that second chain. And we are going to single crochet 8 in total. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And it should be looking a little something like this. We are going to chain 1 and we're going to turn again. So chain 1 and turn your work. Now we're going to single crochet 8 again. 1, 2, 3, and we are just single crocheting back down these single crochets we just made. 4, 5, 6, oops. I'm going to undo those last 2 because my yarn caught and I don't want it to look like that. So redoing 5, 6, 7 and 8. All right, and now that you have finished this row of single crochets on top of this other row of single crochets, because we turned and worked our way back down, we are going to finish off this end that we just got to the end of by single crocheting into this first row that we had just done. So you're basically going to go around the corner just a little bit and do a single crochet into that last row that we did. Just pop a single crochet right there. And then you can go ahead and tie off. I'm actually not gonna do a chain for this tie off. I'm just gonna go ahead and tie off and weave in my end immediately. That way I don't have a little bump there. So I'm gonna leave myself a long enough chain. Let's see. I'm going to leave myself a long enough tail that I can do a little bit of sewing with if I choose to, and also that I can weave in my end. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up on my hook, and that finishes off that section of our belt, or of our overall strap. Then I'm going to go ahead and put my yarn on its needle, on my darning needle, and pull through. And then to weave this in, I'm just going to go around the corner and pull through there first, because the goal is to make this a little bit rounded at the end, just so that it's a little bit more pretty to look at. And then I'm just going to work on weaving this tail in general so that it's nice and secure. And like I said, you can leave yourself a tail here, or you can leave yourself a tail at the other end, or you can do both. And that's for if you are sewing this on to your gnome body. Of course, you are welcome to hot glue it or fabric glue it or anything, whatever your preferred method for attaching is. But I'm just going to explain to you as if you are sewing it on, because the other methods you're just going to be sticking it on and you don't really need me to explain it to you. All right, and so when you feel like you've got it woven in a good amount, what I recommend doing is kind of going along and catching some stitches along the back side to hide that tail. I don't know if you guys saw that paw pop in, but my kitten is laying up on this desk, and there's a little cat bed, and she's laying up here, and she just grabbed my yarn. Cutest thing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and I'm just going to go right up flush to where I stopped, and now you can't even see where I wove it in, and it'll look like that. All right, and then now you can go ahead and remove this from here. If you wanted to leave that tail to sew with, then you will just not cut it when you're done weaving in the tail. Like, you'll tie off down here, and then instead of like weaving it in and hiding it and cutting it, you'll just leave it. So that's up to you. So don't mind the fact that this piece down here on the other end of the chain is looking a little worse for wear. That would be the cat. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we have a piece that looks like this, and this right here is the first chain that we made, and then here is where we are at so far. We are going to go down here and attach back on with our blue yarn, and we're actually going to kind of work in our work backwards. So we're going to attach onto here and be working backwards. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to flip this over, and then you're going to do what you normally do to attach on, which I will walk you through. You're going to make a little slip knot, and I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up. And then you're going to insert your hook into that first chain. Now, if you need to, you can always flip it over to the front so that it's a little bit easier to see, and pop your way through the top of that first chain. But we want the work to basically be facing away from us, because we're going to be crocheting this direction. So you're kind of looking at the back of the chain. We're going to go ahead and put this slip stitch, or the slip knot, back on our hook, and we are going to pull through and do a slip knot. And then you can go ahead and single crochet right into that first loop. At this point, if you want to, you can work over this tail that's here from when we made our chain also. So if you would like to work over it, just hold it against your work and crochet over it. But I'm not going to do that because I want to focus on showing you guys how to crochet into these, since they look a little funny from this angle, but it doesn't have to be intimidating. So we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side. We are just going to single crochet 8. So we just single crocheted 1. And if it makes you feel more comfortable, you can pop a stitch marker into that first single crochet. And then we're going to single crochet 7 more times. And this is what the back of these single crochet or these chains looks like. So it is a little funny looking. Let me make sure it's focused for you guys. It's a little funny looking, but the top part of your stitches is going to be this right here. Right here. Right here. Right here. So you get the idea. It's these little bumps. So don't let it intimidate you just because it does look a little different from the back. And also, like I said, if you want to, you can always flip it over and look at the front of the stitches to guide yourself. So here's what you're used to seeing in a chain. So you know that that right there is the part that you go under when you're working in a chain. So then you can just go, oh, okay. You can do your next single crochet. And if you need to, if you can't see this and just be like, oh yeah, that's for sure where I go, you can always flip your work back over and go, okay, now I see what I'm doing. I see this chain. I know I go under this loop right here. So we're just going to work 8 single crochets. We are now putting our 3rd single crochet in. And our 4th. Our 5th. Our 6th, 7th, and 8th. And you did it. See, I told you it wasn't going to be too bad. All right, now we are going to do the same thing we did on the other side, which is we are going to do a turn chain. So we're going to chain, and then we're going to turn. I'm going to pull out some more yarn. And then I'm just going to single crochet back down. So we're just going to crochet in all 8 stitches back the way that we just came from. So don't forget that we chained 1, so you're going to skip that little chain that we made. Go into that first single crochet. Second, oops, only got the front loop. Third, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and that puts me back at my stitch marker here. So I can go ahead and pop that out and work that 8th single crochet into there. And we are going to do the same thing that we did on the other end. We are going to go around this little corner here into that first single crochet, and we are going to single crochet. And there are quite a few tails to contend with down here, so just ignore those. All right, and once you've done that, you can go ahead and you can cut your yarn. And like I said, if you didn't leave a tail on the other end, you're going to want to leave one on this end so that you can sew this in. Or sorry, sew this on. So now I'm going to pull up on my hook, which will tie off the end here. I left myself an exorbitantly long tail like I always do. And it will be looking a little something like this. And this is going to be your strap for your overalls. So this is going to be the neck part. Then this side or the side will be working down the front, and one side will be working down the back. So you're going to want to make 2 of these. Weave in all of your tails except for the tail that you're going to be doing your sewing with, and meet me back when you have your second one done. Okay, so this next part is going to be where you either want your yellow felt, your small yellow buttons, or your yellow yarn. And the reason for that is because Mario has buttons on the front of his overall straps. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find out which way your overall straps are facing, because each one will face a different direction based on what side this opening needs to be on. So if this is going to be on the left side, it will face like this. And if it's going to be on the right side, it will face like this. So make sure that you keep that in mind when you go to attach your buttons, because you want your button to be on the front of the front. So what that means is this is going to be your shoulder right here. This is going to be the back of your Mario Gnome, and this will be the front of your Mario Gnome. So you're going to want that button to be right here. Now, you can either use small buttons that fit on here, or you can make yourself a button out of felt, or you can make yourself a button out of yarn. So for example, if I can pick this up, I am in the process right now of painting some little buttons because I did not have yellow. But I have these little buttons, and all I did was I picked out the smallest, lightest color, because even if you don't have yellow, if you have some yellow paint and a lighter colored button, you can make yourself a yellow button. So I have two different types of button. They're both the same size, and I'm currently working on painting both of them. I have one with 2 holes and one with 4 holes, and that's just going to be up to personal preference of which ones I think look better. So if you have some little buttons that are small enough for this project, then if you would like to use those, you can. To give you an idea of the size, here's what it looks like on the tip of my finger. So I'm going to be doing a second coat on my buttons, so I'm going to put these back aside, and I'm going to show you how to crochet a little tiny circle, so that if you would like to do a circle, you can do a circle. So what you're going to need is your yellow yarn, your crochet hook, and if you would like to, your stitch marker. This is going to be super simple. All we're going to do is we are going to make a magic circle. And at this point, I've showed you how to make a magic circle quite a few times. So if you still need help with it, don't forget that there is a magic circle tutorial linked in the description box below this video. All right, and once you've got your magic circle here, we are just going to work a few single crochets into it. And how many single crochets we work into the circle is going to dictate how big the circle comes out. So we're using a worsted weight yarn, and we're working on a worsted weight, or I'm using a worsted weight yarn and working on a worsted weight yarn strap. So I'm going to have to be careful not to make mine too big. But say you have some DK weight yarn that you're using, then you would make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to kind of explain to you how to do it so that you can use what you have. So you can use 2 different types of yarn if you want to. So even if you made this out of worsted weight or blanket yarn or bulky yarn or whatever, you can use a smaller yarn to make your buttons if you want to. And all you're going to do is you're going to put in single crochets. So to single crochet, you're going to work over the strap and over the side. And I'll show you what it looks like to do 3 single crochets in this worsted weight yarn. Okay, so that's 3 single crochets in worsted weight yarn. We're going to go ahead and pull this so that it's most of the way closed, but not quite super tight yet. Then I'm going to swing around here, and I'm going to put my crochet hook through this first single crochet and slip stitch. And it might be a little tight. If you struggle to do this, you can skip this step. You can not do the slip stitch. It's just going to make it look a little bit more rounded. So you got that loop through, and then you're just going to pull it through this last loop that you had. Then you can go ahead and pull this magic circle tail tight. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to chain 1 so I can tie off. And I'm going to cut this yarn. Leave myself a little bit of a tail if I want to sew on with it. And then pull up on my hook, and that finishes that off. And then now I can pull tight on my magic circle tail. All right, so you pull nice and tight on that, and then you've got this little circle. And that was with 3 single crochets. And let me show you the size that comes out with worsted yarn, worsted weight 4, it's a 4 weight, and a worsted weight strap. Make sure this is focused for you guys. Yeah, I think that's focused. Then you get this size of a circle. Trying to show you without my fingers being in the way. Now, if you were using, say, a DK weight or something, a weight smaller than what you made your strap out of, you're just going to do more single crochets. So say you're using a DK weight, you might want to do 6 single crochets. It's going to be the exact same thing. You're just going to do the single crochets, start to close up that circle, slip stitch to the first one, everything the same. The only thing different is how many single crochets you put in there. So if you want this circle to come out bigger based on the yarn that you're using, then go ahead and just work some more single crochets. And you can play around with it. You know, this doesn't take much yarn. It doesn't take much time. So you can always try it with 4, try it with 5, try it with 6, however many you want to do it with, and see what size that you like. And another little tip is, since this is going to be sewn to the body of our Mario gnome, you don't have to sew or weave in these tails. What you can do is actually pop these tails right through in the same spot, or like 1 stitch away from each other. Like just take the tail that you have from the magic circle and the tail you have from finishing off. I would recommend taking this magic circle tail, and here, let me show you. I would recommend taking this magic circle tail and moving, or not magic circle tail, sorry, this tail that we ended with, and moving it more to the center, because right now it's really off to the side. So what I would recommend doing is actually popping backwards into the circle like this, and just pulling it through so that it's not at the end like that. So it's like this. And then what you'll do is you'll just take both of these tails and go through here. And then as long as you put like them 1 stitch apart, you can actually just knot it in the back, trim your tail end so that it's just that little knot. And then you can actually just sew this on and you won't see the back of it. So you won't know that there's a little knot back there. And then that will be how you do it if you are using yarn. All right, and you have the option of attaching those now, or you can attach those after you have this on your project. And so that was why I was saying that I would get to it later, but I already attached one of these and I just left this flap up because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do buttons or if I wanted to do yarn or what yet. So you can always attach this whole thing and then just stop when you get to the point where you're getting towards the front here. And then once you've got it attached, you can put it the rest of the way on. So I'm waiting on the second coat of paint to dry on my buttons. So I'm going to show you how to attach your strap. Also keep in mind that you can hot glue your buttons on. So I'm going to be sewing mine on. So when we get to that step, you're either going to want some thread, some hot glue, you can use embroidery floss, whatever you have. I just took apart some plies of the yellow yarn that I was just showing you guys when I made that circle. I just pulled apart the plies and took a single ply of it and I put it onto a regular needle. And I will show you how I'm going to attach that button when the paint dries on them. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your strap, like I had told you before, especially if you were putting your little buttons on the front or your faux buttons, you're going to want to make sure it's facing the right way, because you're going to put one facing from the left with the inside coming in and one facing from the right with the inside coming in, so that this goes around the neck. So all you're going to do is line it up how you want it, and it's just going to go right up against that neck like that. And you can pin it in place if you would like to. So figure out where you want yours to be. I think that looks pretty good from the angle that I'm at. So I'm just going to take a darning needle that I'm not currently using, and I'm going to come right up to the neck, and I'm just going to push this through to kind of pin this in place while I work on sewing the back on. And I'll do the same thing right here. So I've got those kind of holding it in place. Then we're going to run this along the shoulder. And when we get to the part where we're actually sewing this on, we're going to want to make sure we really tuck it up on there under that head and over that arm. And then we're going to come around to the back and ignore the tails from my other strap. We are going to line it up on the back how we want it. So you're going to kind of want to make sure that they're centered and everything, the way that you want your straps to look. And once you've got that, I'm actually going to take this needle from the front, the one that I used to pin it down further down, and I'm going to go ahead and pin it up here by the neck. So that holds everything in place, and then while I'm sewing, I don't have to worry about pieces moving too much and not being where I want them to be. So this is what the back is going to look like, and roughly what the front is going to look like. And I'm just going to show you how to work this on. I'm sure that you probably already know at this point how to sew it on, how to sew on pieces, but I'm just going to show you just to be safe. I want to make sure you have all the building blocks that you need to be able to do this, and I don't leave you up to your own devices and say, okay, now go do this without being sure that you know how to do it. So I'm just going to show you real quick. This will be easier to do if you have one of these curved darning needles. And like I said, I think in the first part of this tutorial, all of the needles that I'm showing you guys, you can get these easily on Amazon. I will try to remember to link, go on there and find a listing that kind of has like an assortment and link it, just because I get asked that a lot on my tutorials. I don't make any money from it. I don't get kickbacks or anything. I'm gonna go look for a random listing, but that's how I get mine. That's where I got these from. So in case you're wanting to get some curved darning needles or any of the other needles I've shown you, I will try to remember to go find those links and put them in the description box below for you guys. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to figure out where you are, and you can do this with any needle, by the way. You can even use a sewing needle. As long as you can get your yarn onto the needle, it doesn't matter what kind of needle it is. It's just marginally easier using a curved tip. So you're going to figure out where you want your piece to end. And then what I do to start it out is I actually like line it up and I go, okay, so it's going to go right here. Where's my tail coming out from? It's coming out right from the tip. So I'm going to go into this stitch right here and just attach myself to my project because the yarn's already attached to the end of your strap. And then you're just going to pull that through. Sorry for all the pet hairs. My cat is literally laying like 2 inches away. Like, let me show you guys this. It's so cute. I'm gonna have to move my tripod thing. She's twitching in her sleep. But yeah, she's literally like 2 inches away. Okay, this might actually even be a better position, so that works. So basically what we're going to do is just work on sewing this on by going in through the body and in through the strap at different intervals to kind of adhere them together. So right now we are down in the body, so I'm going to come back up through the strap at a little bit different point than I was attached to already, like how the strap actually is attached to the yarn right there. And that's mostly what this is about, is just moving increments so that you can attach more pieces. So one thing to keep in mind is if you go like in here and go around this and kind of circular work your way up, which I have done and I do that for some things, you will end up with like the edge that you have here, like it'll be attached down more. So like I use that method usually when I want my not to have like a blunt edge like this, like say I'm attaching an arm or a leg or something. I might use that method where you kind of loop through here and back out through the project and kind of work your way circular, if that makes sense, kind of spiraling, I guess. And that will kind of, it blends the seam of this piece into this piece. But since we're using a strap, we don't really want to do that. We want it to stay defined and separate, and it like kind of like its own layer. So that's why I'm going to show you guys how to do it this way. So now I'm poked out through the strap. I'm just going to go down into the strap a little further away, go down into the body of the plushie, and then I'm just going to push down on my project here so that I can pop back out of the body of the plushie and through the strap. And I'm just going to push up on my darning needle and pull it through. doing my best to keep my hands out of your view, but it's difficult to sew this on while doing that, so hopefully I can do a pretty good job. And you're just going to keep doing that until you're happy with it. You can kind of rotate your piece around, you know, whatever angle is going to work best for you. You can work your way up the strap, or you can kind of move your way around. I'm going one stitch up, and then I'm just going to go down into my work, and I'm going to pop out, make sure I'm going into the body also, not just into the strap. And I'm going to pop out further down. So I just kind of do this like all over the place until I feel happy with how it's attached. You don't have to attach it like every single like stitch. You just need to attach it in enough spots that you are happy with it. It's not gonna move around. So that's all you're doing. And then that's going to be the same thing that you do up here. You're just going to want to make sure that you tuck this nicely into this crevice between the head and the arm. Make sure you've got it like nice and flush up in there like that. And then you're just going to push down into this, into the strap piece and into the body or the neck, and pop back out. And you're just going to do that all the way down. And if you feel like you can't get your stitches close enough together, don't forget, you can always just turn your work around and go back down and work through it again. So you can work it as much as you want to, or as little as you want to. And like I said, if you've already put your buttons on, you can go ahead and attach this whole piece. But if you haven't put your buttons on, make sure you stop a little bit early and leave yourself a little bit of a flap. So go ahead and do that, and I will meet you back once I've got my strap attached and my buttons have dried, and I'll show you how to put the buttons on in case you are using actual buttons. All right, and now that you've got that strap attached, hopefully you've gotten both of them attached, and you may even be ahead of me if you already put your buttons or your faux buttons on, but it should look a little something like this. We have this one strap left, or this one tail left, because I need to sew that down once I put the button on. But here's the back, the sides, and the front of our Mario gnome so far. So he's really starting to look like Mario now, which is really exciting. So to sew the buttons on, you're going to want to grab either some thread, embroidery thread, sewing thread, or pull apart the ply of the yellow yarn, any yellow yarn that you have. You could also just use any light colored yarn. Just use whatever you have. Then what you're going to do is you're going to have your cat jump up onto your table. So go ahead and grab whatever button you're using and whatever thread and needle that you're using, and I will show you how to attach it. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to want to choose your placement, which for this is pretty simple because it basically takes up the whole thing. You just want it to have a little border of blue all the way around it, and then you're going to attach it. So figure out exactly how you want it to be, and then what you're going to do is you're going to hold it in place with your finger, and you're going to go up from underneath and poke through. And you want to poke through the overalls and through the needle. And you're going to pull this through, and you're going to leave yourself a little bit of a tail just so that it doesn't slip. And then you're going to go through the second hole, and you're going to go down into the overalls strap, and you're going to pull through this way. Just like that. And you're gonna want to kind of hold it in place, make sure it doesn't move around while you do this a few times, or if you would like to, right after that first time, you can tie a little knot with your tail and your working yarn. And that is what I am doing. So I'm just tying a little knot to keep it steady. That way it doesn't slide around while I attach it. So I just did a little double knot, and that'll keep it from moving. But I am going to attach it more than that just so that it's nice and secure and I know that it'll stay. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to poke up through the bottom of our work, and we are going to poke out through the hole in the button. And I kind of do this by feel. I just kind of wiggle around until I feel the needle coming out. And just like that. And then I do the same thing, poke back down through the button, through the hole, and into the overalls. And you're just going to repeat that until you're happy with how it's secured. If you would like to, you can also weave your tail in a little bit back here into the blue part. Just make sure you don't go through. You just want to catch like a little bit of the blue, like the back side, like that. And then pull that through. And then you can actually switch directions if you would like to. And you can pop back up through the side because we just wove in that bit of yarn, and you're not just going to be undoing what you're doing. So that's literally all you're going to do. You're just going to go back and forth sewing this on. It's super, super simple, but I wanted to make sure that you knew how to do it. So once you're all happy with that, you can tie these two pieces together in the back, and then you can cut the excess yarn or weave in the excess yarn, and then you can just attach your overall strap the rest of the way. And that you'll just do that with your regular darning needle and the tail that you have still got attached onto here. You'll just sew around just the same way that you did the rest of it. And next up, we are going to be working with our brown yarn. So go ahead and grab your brown yarn. This can be the same color that you used for your shoes, which is what I am doing, or it can be any other color brown. It's totally up to you. This is going to be the mustache. So with that knowledge in mind, pick out whatever brown you would like to use for the mustache color. Once you have your mustache color, you can pause if you need to go grab it. We are going to be doing a slip stitch or slip knot. Go ahead and throw that on your hook, and we're going to chain 25. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, whoops, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. And I'm just going to double check that since one slipped off my hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And once you've got your chain of 25, we are going to chain 2 more. And these are going to be a turn chain. So we're not going to work into these. They're just going to be here, and we're going to skip these 2 stitches, these 2 chains, and we're going to single crochet into this 3rd chain from the hook. Okay? So you're going to chain 25 and then chain 2 more that you're not going to work into. You're just going to skip and turn your work and go back. All right, so you've got your single crochet, and now we are going to do a half double crochet in the next chain. And then in our 3rd chain here, we're going to do 4 double crochets all in the same chain. So we're just going to work 4 double crochets all into this one chain. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now that you've got that little cluster of 4 double crochets done, we are going to work a half double crochet in the next stitch. and then a single crochet decrease. We are going to work the single crochet decrease the same way we've been working them throughout our project. We've been doing them like an invisible decrease during the amigurumi aspects of the project, and that meant going under just the front loop onlys for the stitch, next stitch and the following stitch. Well, we're going to do the same thing because the chain we're working under one loop at a time. So there's one part of the chain, and then we're just going to go to the next one and go under it too. So you'll have 2 loops that you just added, a total of 3. You're going to yarn over, you're going to pull through those 2 that you just went under, and then you'll yarn over and you'll pull through both of those. Then we're going to do a half double crochet, and then we're going to do another cluster of 4, all in the same stitch, 4 double crochets. So make sure you're switching. You do 4 double crochets in these little clusters, all in one chain. But the other half double crochets that you do, make sure you're doing half double crochets, because that's what's going to really give you the height differences that you're wanting. And there's our 3rd half double crochet. I'm coming up on a little knot in my yarn here, so I want to get that out real quick. All right, and then let's count. Oh, nope, I've got my 4 half double crochets actually, or double crochet, sorry. Now we're going to do a half double crochet. And then we're going to do that single crochet decrease. So we're going to go through the next chain and through the following chain, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Don't mind that your work is kind of curling up. And then yarn over and pull through both of those. Then you're just going to do a half double crochet. And you're going to work a cluster of 4 double crochets all in the same stitch. So 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to do a half double crochet in that next stitch and a single crochet decrease. And then another half double crochet. And another cluster of 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here is what you're looking like so far on your beard. Getting your little Mario beard going here. So Mario's beard has 6 of these little kind of lumpy cluster things. So we've got 4 so far. And this one doesn't look as defined yet because we haven't cinched in on the other side yet. But that's what we're looking like. So we're going to do a half double crochet. And then you're going to do a single crochet decrease. And then you're going to do a half double crochet. And 4 double crochets all in the same stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to work a half double crochet in the next chain. And a single crochet in the next chain, which is your final chain in the row. Now to end, we're going to chain 1. We're going to cut off our yarn. We're going to leave a long enough tail so that we can do some sewing. And then you can go ahead and pull up on your hook to fasten off this end right here. Now you'll see that the two ends are a little bit different. This one's nice and curved. Let me make sure you're focused here. So you'll notice this one's nice and curved, and then this one's a little splitty, and that's because we haven't finished shaping this end. So we're going to grab our darning needle and get that nice long tail that we just had worked. And put that onto our darning needle. And then we are going to go in, we're going to basically replicate this end. So remember on this end we had been working this chain, we had our chain 2 that we turned with, and that's what made this curve like this, was us turning to go down again. So we basically just want to do the same thing here. That's why we had that extra chain at the end. We're just going to curve like we came from here, or like we were going to here now, and we're just going to go into this side, the end of that first row of chains, and that's going to give us that little bit of a curve to the end of our project here, just like that. All right, so now we are going to work on the top of our hat. We're going to give it some shape to make it look like a Mario hat. So we're going to start out with making a slip knot, and then we're just going to insert our hook into our slip knot and tighten it. And we're going to chain 9. So we're going to be sewing this part onto the top of our hat to give it a little bit more of that Mario hat shape, because he has a very interestingly shaped hat. So once you've crocheted 9, you're going to skip that first chain and you're going to single crochet into the second chain from your hook. And then you're going to single crochet in all the rest of those chains, going down to the very last one, but don't crochet into the last one. So that's going to be a total of 7 single crochets. And just pull out some more yarn here. So don't forget, you skip that first chain, turn, and then crochet 7. And then when we get to that last chain, we are going to single crochet into that same stitch 3 times. So here's what your 7 single crochets look like. And then here is that last chain, and we are just going to single crochet into it 3 times. And we're doing this that way we can round the corner and work on the other side of the chain. So we're making ourselves a nice little round corner. And then we're going to turn our work and we're going to work on the other side of these chains, and we are going to single crochet 7. I'm sorry, we're going to single crochet 6. We want to leave that 7th chain empty because we, when we get to it, we are actually going to put 3 single crochets into it again. So go ahead and chain or single crochet 6 into these chains to the back side of the chains over here, making ourselves a little extended oval kind of shape. And then in that last chain, you're going to work 3 single crochets. And after you have single crocheted your 3 into this stitch, we will be back at our first stitch. Make sure you skip the chain that we made that we didn't work into though. We're going to single crochet into the first single crochet, and then we're going to go ahead and pop a stitch marker in. And make sure that you skip that chain, like I said. We're not going to be slip stitching or anything. We're going to work a continuous round. So just single crochet right into that first stitch. All right. After you single crochet there, you're going to go ahead and continue to single crochet. And we are going to do a total of 7 single crochets. So that was our second one. Here's our third, our fourth, our fifth, sixth, and our 7th single crochet. Then we are just going to do 3 increases. So these 3 stitches we did around the corner, we're going to put 2 single crochets into each of them. So 3 single crochet increases. So there was 1. Now we're going to put 2 single crochets into this second one, if I can not get my yarn caught on my hook. There's 1, 2 single crochets in there, and then our last single crochet increase. And then we are going to do, much like we did before, we're going to single crochet 6. And then if you can't guess, we're going to do the same thing we did on this end. So when we get down to those last 3 single crochets that we had made, we will be increasing in all of them. So here's 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then go ahead and pop an increase into those 3 single crochets at the end. And now you should have 25 stitches around. So for round 4, we are going to have a repeat. So we're going to do single crochet 2 increase, and that's going to be our repeat. We're going to do that little sequence 8 times. So just single crochet 2. So here we go. We got 1, and then replace our stitch marker. And then we're going to single crochet again. In the next stitch, we're going to do a single crochet. And then we're going to do an increase. So that's going to be 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So you're just going to do 2 single crochets and then an increase. You're going to do that 8 times. And when you get to the end, there will be 1 stitch left. You're just going to single crochet into it. And the next round is actually the same. You're just going to do 2 single crochets and then an increase, repeating 10 times. You don't even have the single crochet at the end of that round. You just repeat the single crochet twice and do an increase. So go ahead and do that. And when it looks like this, meet me back. All right, so you should now have 43 stitches around. We are on round 6, and we are going to be doing 15 single crochets to start out with. So go ahead and pop that single crochet in and then do 14 more single crochets. And once you've got those 15 single crochets, we are going to work 5 half double crochets. So yarn over and go through and pull up a loop and then yarn over and pull through all 3. And these are just going to be 5 half double crochets. So working our way around this kind of corner-ish looking area. And once you've got your 5 half double crochets, we are going to start to do a little bit of a repeat. We're going to do half double crochet and then half double crochet increase. And we're going to repeat that 10 times. So you're going to do that over the next 20 stitches. You're going to do a half double crochet and then half double crochet increase. Half double crochet increase. And that's going to leave you with 6 stitches left. So if you would rather keep count of it like that and just see when you have 6 stitches left in the round, then you can do it that way too. But just half double crochet and half double crochet increase. Do that little sequence 10 times, and then when you have 6 stitches left, we will just put 6 half double crochets in those stitches. And here we are with our 6 stitches left. So go ahead and half double crochet in each of these remaining 6 stitches, and that is going to be the end of round 6. At the end of this round, you are going to have 53 stitches around. And on the next round, we are not going to be doing any increasing or decreasing. We are just going to do some single crochets and some half double crochets. And the reason that we're working some half double crochets is to give ourselves a little bit of length, because I'm trying to form kind of an interesting shape with the hat. So we're going to do 15 single crochets now. 15 single crochets, and then the rest of this round is going to be all half double crochets. So we're going to do 15 single crochets and then 38 half double crochets. And we're still going to have 53 stitches around because we're not increasing or decreasing. So go ahead and work those 15 single crochets, and then we will switch over to half double crochets. All right, and when you've got those 15 single crochets and those 38 half double crochets, we are going to be ending round 7, and we will have 53 stitches. So now we're going to do 4 rounds of just single crochets. No increases, no decreases, no half doubles, nothing fancy, just 4 rounds of single crochets. So go ahead and work your way around and then back to your stitch marker 4 times doing single crochets, and you will be done with row 12 and moving on to 13. All right, and it should be kind of looking like a half of a potato at this point, and you are now on to round 13. We are almost done with this part that we're going to make to put on top of our Mario's head. So you're going to go ahead and put a single crochet in this first stitch and pop that stitch marker back in. And then you are going to do 15 more single crochets. So you're going to do a total of 16 single crochets. And then we're going to kind of do some different types of things, like switching back and forth between a couple of repeats. So after you do these 16 single crochets, meet me back and I will walk you through the rest of the process for this round. After you finish up those 16 single crochets, we are going to do some repeats of doing 2 half double crochets and then a half double crochet increase. So we're going to do that 5 times. We're going to do half double, half double, half double increase. So what that means is 1 half double crochet in one stitch, 1 half double crochet in the next stitch, and then in the third stitch of the sequence you do 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, and you're going to do that 5 times. So that means you're going to work this over the next 10 stitches. Sorry, I was just having a blonde moment. So go ahead and work that, and when you get done doing those, we're just going to do a couple of half double crochet increases. So we'll do 2 half double crochet increases, and then we'll do just 2 half double crochets just in their own stitch, and then we're gonna go back and repeat the sequence we've done by doing 3 half double crochet increases this time, and then 2 half double crochets and an increase repeated 5 times. So I'm going to pop all of that up on the screen. It's going to be your repeat for the round. So I'm actually just going to pop up the typed version of it because I know that that sounds kind of confusing, so that you have that to refer to and you can just pause on the screen and see the numbers. All right, so I hope that that wasn't too confusing. I was struggling with my yarn catching in those half double crochets. I was getting like my yarn was splitting, so it wasn't very good quality to follow along with. So hopefully that popping it up on the screen and everything helped a lot, because like I said, if I tried to just show you as I went like I normally do, it would have been me stopping because I got my yarn stuck and undoing stitches 15 times. So now we're on to the last round, which is round 14, and we are actually not going to work in the whole round. We are just going to do half double crochet and half double crochet increase, and we're going to repeat it 9 times. So we're not actually working the whole round. We're just working part way around because it'll give us a nicer place to end off for our hat, with it all being a little bit more level. So I will pop that up on the screen too for you guys, just because it is like kind of a strange round since we're only doing a partial round, but really simple. Just do a half double crochet and then in the next stitch do a half double crochet increase and repeat it 9 times. And there you go. So you've got this little wonky bit of hat that is shaped kind of funky. And I went ahead and just threw a couple of single crochets in. You don't really have to or anything. I just did to make the stop not so apparent. So I just threw 3 single crochets in here. Like I said, that's up to you. You can do slip stitch. You could do some single crochets. I just did it to make it not quite so like jarring where I stopped at. But then you can go ahead and cut off your yarn. Make sure you leave a nice long tail for sewing this onto the head. And then I just chained one and pulled off, so you can do that. You can tie off however you like to tie off. And then this is ready to attach to our Mario head. Woo-doo-doo! Okay, so now that you have finished your little top piece to shape up your hat, you can go ahead and attach it. You're just going to need a darning needle, or if you're attaching it with glue or something, you can do it that way. Basically, you're going to want to put the elongated back part along the back of the hat and the part that has more height at the front of the hat. So it's going to look kind of like this. And to give you an idea of what we're looking like, I have a little sticky note circle I cut out. And so that is what it's going to kind of look like when we get our M on there. And we're going to make another piece that's going to be a bill. And then we'll have our big old nose, and the bill will kind of go down to the nose. So we're going to work on attaching this. Super simple, super easy. Just sew it on. It'll look like this at the front. It'll look like this at the side. And like this at the back. So go ahead and sew that on. I've shown you how to sew things on a few times now, and just for the sake of the video not being 7 years long, I'm not going to show you again, but just sew it on the same way that we've been sewing everything else on. So you've got your little tail over here that you ended with. I would probably sew this direction, but it doesn't really matter. Whatever is most comfortable for you, and kind of just sit your plushie up and look at the placement and make sure that it's looking good to you as you go. Alright, and it looks a little silly at this point without the bill, but here is what it looks like after I have attached it fully. So here's a little 360 for you. And here is what we are looking like. Now we're going to be grabbing our skin tone one more time, and we are going to be making the nose. So our nose is going to be really big. We're going to start out with a magic circle. And if you need help with a magic circle, don't forget that it is there is a tutorial link down in the description box below this video where I walk you through how to make one if you need a little extra help. We're going to be making a nice big nose, and it's going to kind of overlap onto our mustache. So that is kind of our goal. Mario himself has a huge nose, and then also I like my gnomes to have big noses, so definitely going to embrace the big gnome nose. So once you've got your magic circle, we're going to go ahead and put 6 single crochets into the magic circle. And if you would like to, you can pop a stitch marker into your first single crochet. 3, 4, 5, and 6. By the way, in case you're wondering, the color that I am using is light taupe, and it is by I Love This Yarn. All right, and then we're just going to pull on that magic circle tail to tighten it up, but we're not going to tighten it up all the way yet because we want to make sure we can get into that first single crochet nice and easy. So you're going to go into that first single crochet, and you're going to work a single crochet. We're going to be doing increases, so you're actually going to work 2 single crochets into that same stitch. Then you can go ahead and tighten up your circle by pulling on your magic circle tail. Give it a nice tight pull. It'll cinch up that middle really well for you, and you can go ahead and grab a stitch marker if you would like to at this point. For the first 6, I didn't feel like I needed it, but I do like to use stitch markers for my amigurumi. So go ahead and pop a stitch marker in there. Make sure you're putting it in the first single crochet. If you went ahead and did an increase, you're going to have 2 in there, so make sure you're putting it in the first one. So you have 6 single crochets here, and you're going to increase in all of them. So you're going to go from 6 stitches to 12. So we already did one of them. Here is our second increase, our third increase, our fourth increase, our fifth, and lastly our 6th. So make sure you're working 2 single crochets into each of them, and when you get back to your stitch marker here, you will have a total of 12 stitches. All right, and now we are going to pop that stitch marker out so that we can place our next stitch for the next round. So for round 3, we are going to be doing a single crochet and then an increase, and that's going to be the repeat for the round. So there's that single crochet. You can go ahead and replace your stitch marker. Whoops, I just got stuck to some random yarn. Go ahead and replace your stitch marker. And then you're just going to do an increase in the next stitch, and then a single crochet, and then an increase. A single crochet, and then an increase. And that is going to be the repeat for the round. So there's my increase. Single crochet. And an increase, which is just 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Single crochet and an increase. And for this round, you will have 18 stitches when you get to the end of it. Single crochet and an increase. All right, almost made our way back around here. And we're doing our final single crochet and our final increase. So you're going to end on an increase when you get back to your stitch marker, and you will have this kind of cupping up. Make sure that you cup it up with this side on the outside. This side with your little magic circle tail on it is the inside of your nose. And now we are going to work some single crochets. So go ahead and pop out your stitch marker, place a single crochet in there. And replace your stitch marker. So at this point, you can either count to 18 or you can just crochet until you get to your stitch marker. And we are going to do a couple of rounds. Ooh, my cat just jumped up here. We are going to do a couple of rounds of single crochet. So go ahead and do this round of single crochet and one more round of single crochet, and then meet me back and we will finish off our nose. We'll have a little decrease round. All right, so continue to single crochet. Make sure you're directing it so that the outside of the nose is on the outside and this little magic circle tail is on the inside as you go. And I'll meet you back after you do one round and 2 rounds of single crochet. All right, and when you get back to your stitch marker, it should be looking something like this after you've done your 2 rows of single crochet. We are going to go ahead and get into this next stitch. So take that stitch marker out. And for the next round, we are going to be doing a single crochet and then a decrease. And as usual, our decrease is going to be an invisible decrease because we are doing amigurumi. Unless you struggle with the invisible decrease, you are always welcome to do a regular decrease as well. It's really not a big deal either, so don't feel bad about it. Don't feel like it makes, it not come out as good or anything. If that's what you can do, then that's what you do. Don't let it stop you. So I'm just doing a single crochet and then a decrease all the way around. And in case you forgot, these decreases, these invisible decreases, are in the front loops only, and you do not yarn over in between. So you only go through the front loop, pick up the next front loop, then you can yarn over, and you just pull through both. Then yarn over and pull through both again. So we're just going to keep doing that. Single crochet and a decrease. And we are going to be doing a little bit of stuffing after this. And then we will just do some straight up decreases. And that is it for the nose. So really simple. Really quick, really simple. All right, here's my last decrease for this round. Boom. So here is the size of the opening that we have. We can go ahead and stick that tail from our magic circle down in there. And we can go ahead and grab a little bit of polyfill. Noses are also a good time to use yarn scraps if you're trying to do any stuffing with yarn scraps. I don't usually use them in the whole body. If I was to use them in the whole body, I would mix them in with polyfill. Like maybe put polyfill in and then a little bit of yarn scraps, polyfill, a little bit of yarn scraps. But things that are really tiny, like the noses, they're actually the perfect time to use yarn scraps. So if you are wanting to stuff with any yarn scraps or, stuff like that, this is a good time to do that. Right, so I'm just going to stuff my nose a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and keep decreasing. So we're going to do one more round, and it's just going to be 6 decreases. So right now you have 12 stitches, and after this round you will have 6. Because we're just going to cut those stitches in half. We're just going to invisible decrease in every stitch. Or every 2 stitches. And I'm going to go ahead and put this stitch marker back just so that I can just decrease until I get back to it. And then I'm like, okay, cool. I have 6 of those, right? The less mathing, the better. That's the hard thing about writing patterns is you have to math. So much mathing. Sometimes it is not possible. I'm like, all right, I want to work on this. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh God, I can't. So just doing decreases now. Here's my 3rd one. We're cinching it up nicely. And then this will be the side that we attach to our Mario. And I'm actually thinking I will probably, not 100% sure yet, but probably attach the nose straight onto the mustache. Because the nose on Mario, actually, if you look at pictures of Mario, his nose literally is like on his mustache. So, haven't decided yet, but probably going to attach it straight onto his mustache. If not, though, I'll just attach it onto the body. I'll attach the mustache, I mean, onto the body, onto the face, and then attach the nose so that they're layered. So you've got a little opening right here now, and there is no reason that you need to close that because it's just going to be sewn onto your gnome. Leave yourself a nice long tail. So if you would like to close it, you can. You'll just use the same method that I showed you for closing up the head and stuff. Where you go around and you pick up the front loop onlys with your needle, your darning needle, and then you pull it all tight. But this little tiny hole is really not necessary to close. I'm going to throw a little more stuffing in there, and because it's such a tiny hole, I'm going to grab my polyfill stick to do that. Sometimes I close them, sometimes I don't for the noses. But the nice thing about not closing it is you can use that with for your like initial like connection to your body. You can connect, you know, through those loops. It's totally up to you how much you connect your nose. You know, I usually do like a bigger area connected, like maybe out to here. So this is all connected. But you could just connect on right here. That's totally up to you. And I'm just adding a little extra stuffing so that it's a nice bulbous nose. Like I said, I always do a nice little round nose on my gnomes, but Mario actually has a very large gnome, very large nose, just in general. So I want to make sure that I really get that nose right. And after this, we only have one more thing that we have to crochet. It is the bill to the hat. And then we'll just be assembling the last couple of things. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. If you've made it this far, I just want to say a huge thank you for sticking with me through all 3 parts. I know that they're long, but I really try to show you guys everything so that, you know, you don't have to try to put a lot of guesswork into it. I want it to be easy to follow along with. So I try not to clip too much out that I think, you know, I only clip out things that I think you guys already know how to do from what I've shown you, or, you know, we're just repeating the same thing over and over. So hopefully they're nice and thorough and you enjoy them. And there's our nose. And it's time to crochet the last piece, and then we can assemble what we've got left and we will be finished. So we are going to be working on our hat bill. You're going to take your red yarn that you were using for the rest of your hat, and you are going to make a slip knot. And once you've got your slip knot, you can go ahead and put it on your hook. And we're going to chain 20. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Then we are going to do some single crocheting. So we are gonna skip this first stitch closest to our hook, and we are going to single crochet. And we're going to single crochet all the way down, which is going to be 19 single crochets, and you are welcome to put a stitch marker into your first single crochet if you would like to. All right, and then just work your way down so that you have 19 single crochets. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Here is what it is currently looking like. All right, so after you've single crocheted those 19 single crochets, in that last stitch that we put a single crochet in, we are actually going to work a second single crochet. So that's going to make that a single crochet increase stitch. And then we are just going to swing around to the other side over here, and we are going to do 19 single crochets on that side. Now, as this starts to kind of cup up a little, make sure that this part, this pretty strip side, is facing outwards. And this side, which has our little tail from when we started, and it's maybe not quite as pretty, that will go on the inside. All right, so go ahead and single crochet your way down the line until you get to the end. We're going to single crochet 19. And then in that last stitch, the same as on this side, we're going to throw an extra single crochet into it. So technically we are doing 18 single crochets and then a single crochet increase. But work your way down till you get to the end, and you can throw 2 single crochets into the final stitch. Okay, and as you get to that last stitch, don't forget to throw an extra single crochet into it, and you will have this pretty little chain that looks kind of like this forming, and you are just going to work a single crochet round that goes all the way around. So you have 40 stitches here. We started out with 20, and then we skipped a chain to do 19, but we added in an extra single crochet. So that made us an increase, which gave us 20 on one side, and then we did the same thing on the other, and that gave us 20 on the other. So we have 40 stitches, and we are just going to single crochet into each of these 40 stitches, and it is going to start to massively cup up. So like I said, just make sure that you cup it up the right way, as long as you direct it the right way at some point so that you have, you know, your outside stitches on the outside, then it doesn't really matter when you do it. So if you prefer to just let it kind of do its own thing, then that's totally fine too. Or you can go ahead and start to cup it up the right way as you go. And we're just going to single crochet all the way around. And the reason that we're doing it this way is we are making our hat bill a like 3-dimensional piece instead of a flat piece like you would normally do. And I'm doing this because I want the hat bill to be kind of big and chunky. And I think the best way to do that will be to put a little bit of stuffing into our hat bill. So we are going to work up kind of like a little pocket of a hat bill. But go ahead and keep doing that all the way around until you get back to your stitch marker, and it should start to cup up a little bit. All right, and when you get back around, if you're kind of cupping it up, it'll start to look a little something like this, kind of like a little pea pod kind of look, and you can even fold the 2 sides together. You can kind of get the feel for what we're doing here. So the next thing that we are going to do is we're going to pop our stitch marker out. throw a single crochet into that first stitch, and we are going to single crochet 9. So here's our second one for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I'm gonna kind of direct that so it curves the way I want it to. And then we're gonna do a decrease. So we're just gonna do an invisible decrease. We're gonna grab the front loop and then the front loop of the next stitch, yarn over and pull through both, and yarn over and pull through both. Then we are going to crochet 9 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And we are going to do the same thing down the other side. So we're just going to mirror the same thing that we did down the first side, down the second side. So you're going to crochet 9, do a decrease, and then crochet 9. All right, and when you get back to your stitch marker, you will be having 38 single crochet, or 38 stitches, sorry, in total. We have done a total of 9 single crochets, a decrease, 9 single crochets, then 9 single crochets again, a decrease, and 9 single crochets. So that was your repeat. Your repeat was actually single crochet 9, decrease, single crochet 9. And then you just did that whole sequence twice. We are going to move on to the next round, and we are going to do the same thing, but slightly different numbers. So this time we're going to single crochet 8. So I think you can start to kind of get the idea of the pattern that we're going with right now. We're going to single crochet 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then we're going to do a decrease. So we're going to do front loop only, front loop, there we go, front loop only, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. And then we are going to single crochet 9 this time. So single crochet 8, decrease, single crochet 9. And now that you are getting the hang of the pattern a little bit, it's time to change it up. So we are going to be doing 4 single crochets this time. So go ahead and put that first single crochet in, and you can replace your stitch marker. Kind of stick this little tail from the beginning down in here now. There should be enough of a divot to kind of keep it in there and get it out of our way. All right, so we're going to single crochet 4. We just did 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to do a decrease. So we're just going to do a more sharp decrease now. So you can start to bring the bill of our hat to a rounded edge. Then we're just going to do 4 single crochets again. And 4. And then we're going to do a decrease again. And you're just going to repeat this all the way around. You're just going to do 4 single crochets and then a decrease. And you're going to repeat that until you get back to your stitch marker. And you should have 36 stitches at the beginning of this round. And at the end of this round, you will have let's see. You will have 30 stitches at the end of this round. Okay. So go ahead and continue to do that, and then I will meet you back when we get to our stitch marker. And now you've basically got the shape that we're going for our cap. Now we're just going to do some rounds of single crochet so that we can make it stick out a little further, and also a lot for the fact that when we stuff it, it's going to get a little bit shorter because it's going to be a little bit more bulged up. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to single crochet around for, let's do 4 rounds. Single crochet around for 4 rounds and then meet me back. All right, my lovelies, I am super excited because we have basically finished the crocheting portion of this pattern. I'm super happy that you decided to come along with me and that you are still here at this stage in our Mario Gnome, and I really hope that you like how your Mario Gnome comes out and maybe you share it with me. If you would like to, you can email it to me. My email is in the description box below this video. I'm also on Instagram. I have a Facebook page, not a Facebook group. All of that stuff is linked in my description box though, so feel free, if you post something, you can tag my page, you could tag me on Instagram, or you can email it to me. And we actually do have a segment on this channel called Gnome of the Month, where we share our gnomes that everybody in the community has made. So you, if you would like to, can participate in that. Just let me know when you send the email if you'd like to, and I can include your gnome in our Gnome of the Month video, and I can put your name and everything, and you can get, everybody can see it and tell you how awesome you did. So I just wanted to say that real quick. So all we're going to do to finish this off is we're going to stuff it really good. You can kind of hold it up to your project and get an idea for how you want to stuff it. It's just going to be personal preference. I'm going to stuff it pretty good, and then what's going to happen is the nose and the mustache are going to go under it. Kind of show you in a little sloppy fashion here. And it's going to do a little something like this. So, you know, as if the eyes could be hiding up under the cap. And we're going to put that all on. So go ahead and stuff this to the amount that you would like to. And then you're just going to do the same thing that we did earlier on in this pattern when we worked the arms. You're just going to sandwich these 2 layers together and single crochet through both of them. And that will finish it off and close it up for you. So you can stuff, close it up a little, stuff, close it up a little, just do it however you would like, and then meet me back, and we are at the assembly process. Whoopsie daisy, I almost forgot that we need to make a little white circle with an M on it for the front of our hat. So we actually have one last thing that we need to crochet. Go ahead and make a magic circle to start out. And if you need a little help with your magic circle, don't forget that there is a tutorial linked in the description box below this video, and that can give you a little bit of a slowed down process of how to do your magic circle if you still need help with it. Go ahead and chain 1 after you have your magic circle, and that isn't going to count as anything, it's just to get to height. And then we are going to half double crochet 8 times. So go ahead and put that half double crochet in there, and if you would like to, pop a stitch marker into that stitch. And then proceed to make your other 7 half double crochets. And I'm just going to focus the camera. There we go. All right, so we've got 1, 2. If you hear crunching, that is my cat eating. And 3, 4, 5. Every time I'm doing this counting, it reminds me of the Tootsie Pop commercials. Was it Tootsie Pop? Tootsie, I think it was the Tootsie Pop commercials, where they have the owl, Mr. Owl, and it's like, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. But every time I'm counting, I just have this like urge that I have to ignore to be like 1, 2, a 3, crunch. Go ahead and pull on your magic circle tail, and don't pull it super tightly. Well, actually, you go ahead and pull it super tightly. You're not going to have any issues getting into the half double crochets. Whoops, I did not mean to shake my desk. I am sorry about that. All right, so once you've got your half double crochets, we're going to go into this first stitch that we have our stitch marker in. And if you didn't place a stitch marker, just make sure that you don't go into that little chain that we did to get to height. Make sure you're going into your stitch. We are going to slip stitch back to that first stitch. It's going to look like this. All right. And then we are going to do increases in all 8 stitches. So for this first one, we're going to go ahead and chain 2. And then you can go ahead and half double crochet into that same stitch. There we go. Wait, why did I stop early? I was trying to make a double crochet for some reason. We can go ahead and count this chain as a half double crochet for this round. So go ahead and stick your stitch marker in there. You don't really need a stitch marker because it's pretty easy to see where you start, but I put it in already. So that was our first one. Here is our second half double crochet increase stitch. And all that means is we're putting 2 half double crochets into the same stitch. And there's our third half double crochet increase. And our fourth half double crochet increase. And our fifth half double crochet increase. So you have 8 half double crochets in the first round. So you have 8 stitches. And then since we're doing half double crochet increases in all of the stitches in this round, we will have 16 stitches at the end. If you would like to count them, that is the information for you. All right, just continue all the way around till we get back to our stitch marker. This is like, I'm not even sure what yarn this is. This is an unlabeled yarn that I caked up, but it was from like a scrap scrap floppy skein that I got secondhand, and it is like dense. It is like thick and dense yarn. All right, and we're gonna slip stitch to that top chain. Oh, my cat's coming onto the desk. Oh, she has like a little basket that's sitting here, and she keeps coming to get in it. 1 minute. Okay, I was letting her get situated a little, although she might just flop out onto the desk anyways. I think she wants some attention. But we are almost done with this, so we will keep going. We are going to just do a little bit of shape modifying because the circle on his hat is actually a bit ovular, not like a perfect circle. So I'm going to chain 1, and then I am going to get stuck. There we go. I am going to single crochet into this first stitch, and then I'm going to place a stitch marker. All right, and then I'm going to single crochet into the next stitch. She keeps like laying on my arm. So cute. Like laying back and like looking at me. And 1 more single crochet. We're just going to do 3, and then we're going to slip stitch and slip stitch again, slip stitch again. We're going to be slip stitching 6 times. Slip stitch again. So we have our 1, 2, 3 single crochets, 4 slip stitches, 5, and 6. Let's go ahead and make that 7. Go ahead and slip stitch one more time. So we have 3 single crochets, slip stitch 7, and then we're going to single crochet, single crochet, and single crochet. So there'll be 3 single crochets. And then we are going to slip stitch. Oh my goodness, she's like over here grooming herself, having like a time of her life. We are going to slip stitch 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And the edges are rolling a tiny bit, but that's okay. We're going to be sewing it onto the hat, and so it's not going to like try to roll once it's sewn on. Also, if you just flatten it out, it stays flattened out. But that gave us like a little bit more of an oval shape. And then we can go ahead and remove this stitch marker. I don't know if you guys can see her paws. I'm going to like slightly angle the camera. There's the little toe beans. She heard me and gave all the toe beans. There you go. I have my camera in a mount, so it's a little difficult to re-angle like that. But here you go. Now you guys get toe bean cam. Toe bean cam. All right, so go ahead and we're going to tie off. You can leave yourself a decently long tail for sewing on with. And you can cut your yarn. I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch to this first stitch that we made to tie off. And then I'm just going to pull up on my hook. And there is our lovely little oval. And now I'm going to show you guys how to do something called surface stitching. So if you have never done surface stitching before, don't worry. I am going to show you how to do it. So we're going to be using our red yarn again. So if you need to pause real quick and go grab that red yarn, go ahead and do that. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making an M on here for our hat. Oh, by the way, you can do this in felt if you prefer. It's the reason why I was saying you might want felt. You can do just a circle or oval kind of shape in felt and do an M in felt. That is totally up to you. It might be easier for you, so you're totally welcome to do that. So what we're going to be doing is we're making an M on this circle. Because there's an M on Mario's hat. So I am gonna just very lightly with pencil kind of draw out the shape of what I want my M to look like. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. So I know that this magic circle like center is the middle of my oval, which actually helps a lot because then I know that this is the center of where my M's little point would go. So I'm just going to, and I don't need to really draw out the whole M, it's more just guidelines. So that when I'm in the middle of crocheting, I don't have to worry about trying to figure out where to do my my surface stitching. I almost said slip stitching. So I'm not trying to write, you know, I'm not trying to like perfectly draw out an M. I'm not trying to make this super dark. I don't want it to show through, but I'm just giving myself a little bit of a guide. So you might be able to see I kind of have like a little guide there to my M. And she's like going to sleep now, and we get toe bean camera. I know this isn't related, guys, but look how pretty. She has like little speckled toe beans. She has pinks and browns in there, and she doesn't care if I touch her feet. Pinks and blacks. So adorable. Oh my gosh, you guys, you're getting like the whole experience here. All right, so to do our surface stitching, we are going to take our red yarn here. And we are going to make a slip stitch. Or a slip knot, sorry. I just want to say slip stitch for everything. Alright, I'm going to re-center my camera now. All right, now that we've got ourselves a little more centered, go ahead and put that slip stitch that you just made, or slip knot that you just made, onto your hook and give it a little pull. Then you're going to take it off of your hook and you're going to go to this lower corner on the left side where you want the corner of your M to be. You're going to push your hook through and you're going to slide this slip knot onto your hook. Then you're going to pull through and you're going to want to have the working yarn in your hand. And what you're going to do is you're going to follow the lines, and I hope that you can somewhat see them, but you're going to basically just follow the shape that you want to make. So you're going to go just a little bit forward, think like about a stitch's length, and you're going to yarn over underneath of there and you're going to pull through. And then you're going to pull through your slip knot. And the only thing that you're really doing is you're just slip stitching. But this is called surface stitching because we are slip stitching on the surface of our project. So it's the same thing you do anytime you slip stitch, except for you're going through your project. So you go through, you yarn over, you pull up into your work, and then pull through the loop that's on your hook. All right? And I'm going to take you through this whole process, so don't worry. We're just going to keep moving in small increments and making slip stitches that go through the work and onto the surface. And like I said, these are called surface stitches. So I'm going to go one higher. Technically that was where my little marking ended, but I think I want to go one higher. So let me find a good spot to do that. Oh, that's pushed over way too far. And you can also tell from the back, you notice I accidentally popped over way too far. Like I wanted to pop over like here. Well, you can see I've got my little row showing through on the back. So you can see, oh wow, I don't want to pop over there and come back out and redo that. Let's try, yeah, that's better. Then yarn over and pull through. And pull through the work on the front. Then we're going to turn because we want to start going down to make the point of our M. You're going to turn and you're going to go down at an angle. And you're going to slide through. And just complete that slip stitch. And it can be a little difficult to get through your yarn at some points, like right here where my magic circle comes to a closure. In the middle is like a very tight stitch. And so all I'm going to do is take a darning needle, stick it in here, whoops, and kind of wiggle it around to give myself a little bit of a hole. And get my yarn back on my hook. Ignoring all my tails. And now I've got a little bit of a hole to work with here. And boom. Then I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull back up through the hole. And then I'm going to pull through my stitch. All right. Then I'm going to turn again because I'm going to start going up for the other side for my M. I'm going to pop through, grab my yarn, come back in the front, and pull through. So like I said, you're just doing slip stitches, but you're going through your work while you do them. And you have learned how to do a surface stitch. So if you didn't already know how, now you do. Let's see. Go up a little bit higher. Yarn over and pull through. And I knew I was going to end up grabbing a little bit of that white. There we go. And then now I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to start going down. And I'm taking you guys along for the real experience here. So you're seeing me doing this for the first time. Not surface stitching for the first time. I've done a little bit of that, but doing this M for the first time. So we're both doing it together. Then I'm going to go back over here and pull through. Go down here and pull through, making just a little angled leg for my M here. And we'll do one more. And I'm not worried about my M being perfect. I think that looks great to me. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up on my hook. I'm going to cut my yarn, leave myself a little bit of a tail. And then I'm going to pull up on this working yarn to tie off. And what we're going to do is we pulled out on the front, so we want to weave the tail back through to the back. So we're going to put that on our darning needle. And then we're just going to come right here where we ended. And pop it back out the back. And that is how the front of it came out. That came out great. And good job to you for doing some surface stitching. I know it's not the most common thing, so if that was your first time doing surface stitching, that's really exciting. I think it is just the coolest thing ever. I've only done it a little bit, and I think it's just a really fun way to add details. So I'm just trying to catch a little bit of the back of these stitches. I don't want to go through. I don't want my red to show through on the front, but I'm catching the back of these stitches and pulling my way down so that I can tie together these two red tails. They're going to be in the back, so I don't need to try to like hide them or anything. Oh, I have a kitty. But, aw, hello. But that is how you make this. So go ahead and just tie those tails together and you are done with it. Okay guys, so gather up all of your little pieces. We've got our stuffed brim of our hat. We've got our nose and we've got our mustache. And of course we have the piece that we just finished. So I'm going to show you like where you can put these, and you can either sew them on or you can hot glue them on, and I'm going to kind of explain alternatives for each part in case you had different ways you wanted to do them. So the mustache is kind of the first thing that I would probably put on, but you're going to want to figure out where you want everything first. So the way that I think I'm going to put my mustache on is we have a nice center bump here, so you know easily where the center is. And I think I'm going to kind of sew mine on in a flat line. Let me pull up a picture of Mario. All right, I've got my other tab open and I've pulled up a picture of Mario. So it kind of, it curls up the whole way. But his nose kind of goes over this middle piece. So we'll see, we'll play around with it. And I'm thinking the nose should overlap onto the mustache. And for the sake of not having my hands in your guys' way, let me stick this needle down into here and kind of adhere my nose on for the moment. So I'm kind of thinking something like this. And what I'm thinking is to sew the mustache on until I get to like the last little like floofs that bump up like that, and then let them kind of 3D off of the face. So like that. That's what I'm thinking. And then I'm thinking for the bill of the hat, let me kind of massage this into the shape that I want it in. Don't forget, you can always manipulate your polyfill just by kind of massaging it and sort of angling it the way that you want it to go. So then I'm thinking I'll attach the bill to this right where the skin tone meets the hat tone. I'm thinking I'll do that. And then what I want to do for sure is I'm going to sew this to the nose. Just kind of attach some stitches to the nose so that it kind of conforms just a little bit. And it'll look like that. And then let me scoot this down. I think I can kind of lean everything so that you can see it all. And then I'm thinking that my little M will go up here. And it's somewhat nestled behind the brim of the hat in the pictures that I'm looking at. So it'll look like that. So, okay, here's what we've got. You can sew or glue these on. You could hot glue, you could probably fabric glue, you could do whatever you want. For the white and red circle / oval with the M, you could do that with yarn or you could do that with felt. You could do the white circle out of felt and you could do the M out of felt. You could also do the white circle out of felt and probably surface stitch onto the white circle. I'm pretty sure you could surface stitch through felt. So that is an option. Of course, you're going to make your bill of your hat and your nose out of yarn, but your mustache could also be made out of felt. That is totally up to you. You could just put it into the shape that you want it, cut it out, and glue it on. Or you could sew them on. If you're going to glue them on, I do kind of recommend hot glue because hot glue seems to be the best. But I have not tried to fabric glue amigurumi stuff on. I just don't think it would work very well. But I think that is everything, you guys. So I am going to go and put these things on here. I've showed you how to sew things on a bunch of times already, so I'm not going to walk you through sewing each piece on because that would be like a whole video on its own and take forever to like show you. But you're just going to sew them on in the configuration that you like. This is kind of what I'm thinking I'm going to do. And then I will come back and show you the finished Mario. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, you guys. Please let me know down in the comments if you liked it. Alright guys, we finished our Mario gnome. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. And I would love to see your gnomes. I know I've said that a few times, so I'm not gonna push it too much, but if you would like to share them, that would be super cool. I always love to see what people make with my tutorials. And if you are not already subscribed, I super hope that I have earned that little subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button. There's a little bell icon, and if you click that, it will tell you whenever I post so that you don't miss out on anything. All right guys, well, I will see you around, and I hope that you enjoy your new little Mario gnome.